Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we give all praise, glory, honor, power on the Most High Yahweh, and we do so through His only begotten and beloved Son, HAMASHIACH. And we say, Kwam Yasharlah, shalom to all the brother out there on the highway and the byway. Shalom to all the camps doing the work of the Most High with kindness, love, and sincerity, as you already know. This is your brother Frank coming at you. Before we go any further, we lost one of the elders, right? One of the elders, one of the first teachers, right, of the truth, right? The elder Arroya, the elder passed away, I believe 2 days ago, if I'm not wrong. 2 days ago, the elder passed away, right? The elder passed away. According to the news that I got, the elder was like 82 years old. So we say condolences to his family, right? To all the brothers, his loved one, right? We stay in the spirit, Lord willing, by the Spirit of the Most High. We shall see the elder when the Lord HAMASHIACH returns. We will see the elder putting in the work, as you already know, right? So, brother and sister, as you already know, we are going to go through it, right? The Most High have given, the Most High have taken away. You already know, all right? So, without any further ado, I want to get into this topic, all right? But before I go any further, I want to deal, the title here will be what? Asia woes, right, shall come, right, after the fall of America. You got to keep in mind, right? Maybe some of you have hope in China to be the superpower. It won't happen, okay? You can dream all you want. It's not going to happen. It's enough. The last kingdom, the last people, the last kingdom to rule on the face of the earth are the Edomites, right? Esau is the end of the world. You got to understand, right? Don't just be there, you just believe in everything that you see on YouTube or everything you hear on the TV. Don't just believe it, right? You got to go to the Most High, go to the Lord, go into the scripture, go in the Bible to inquire of the Lord, right? Don't just believe everything no, you got to understand, all right? The last kingdom to rule is Esau Edom, all right? You got to keep that in mind. How do we know? We're going to go to the basics one. Let's go to the basics one, right? Let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 6, all right? Let's go to the basics one, all right? We're going to go to the basics one, and then we're going to address it straight up, all right? Let me open up my Apocrypha, right? This is the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 6, and verses 8. I'm going to read. He said unto me, Moses said unto Esdras, you understand? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born. Right? So you got, for you to understand, if you know in this truth, you don't know what we're talking about, brother and sister, we invite you, we encourage you, we exhort you to go read Genesis chapter 25 to understand the history, right, behind 2 Ezra chapter 6, verses 8 through 9. He said, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, all right, Jacob's hand held the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world. Esau is the end of the world. You gotta understand, it's very simple. Your pastor does not understand it. Your politician that's seducing you, they're lying to you, they're using the propaganda to put you to sleep, to kill you, destroy you. You got to stay in the spirit, right? For Esau is the end of the world, the fourth beast. Esau is the end of the world. That's why the Moses gave unto who? Daniel. When you go in the book of Daniel, you read about it. Let's go over that. Let's go in the book of Daniel quick. You got to understand, all right? The end of this world is going to be on Esau Edom. He's going to be the last to rule. Esau is the last to rule. And we're going to go to Daniel chapter 2. I want to bring a very important point out there through the Spirit of the Most High, our power, so everybody Gotta understand. All right. So let's read from I'm gonna jump to Daniel chapter 2. All right. I wanna read Daniel chapter 2, and we're gonna read from let me see. Let's see what I want. Okay, that's right. All right. You gotta keep in mind, there is no way where you'll be thinking again, Esau. No, Esau is the end of the world. Where you think some of you're thinking that, well, the Chinese, China and Russia, they're gonna be the superpower. They're gonna run the world. No, it's over. All right, you're gonna understand. Once Esau is taken out of the game, it's over. Merely, and that will start with Babylon the Great, aka the United Snake of America. Let's jump to right here. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 2, and we're going to read from verses 44. And in the days of these kings, you got to understand when you read the word kings right here in the book of Daniel, he's not literally talking about king. He's talking about nation, kingdom, empire. You got to understand. That's what he's talking about. The empire ruling right now is the fourth kingdom, according to the dream of who? And as vision most have you understand, according to the vision, the most have close brother. So like that would, all right. So you gotta understand. You gotta understand, all right? Let's read it again. And in the days of these kings, kingdoms, that's what it means. It means nation, peace, power. Okay? Shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, right? Set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Just keep that in your mind. Let that sink in your mind, right? All right? Which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, right? But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. You see, when you read in verse 44 in the beginning, it said kings. When Christian read it, you read it, you get excited, you think, well, it's just talking about kings. No, he's talking about kingdoms, nation, you understand? All right? And consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. You understand? It's very simple. So don't keep in your mind, don't be thinking in your mind that, well, the Chinese, once America fall, once America is destroyed, the Chinese is going to take over, the Russians going to rule, Saudi Arabia is going to rule, BRICS is not happening. BRICS ain't going to rule anything. Saudi Arabia, they ain't going to rule anything. Edom is the one to finish ruling on the earth. You understand? The power is going to end on the so-called white man. Point blank period. It's very simple to understand. All right? Let's go to Daniel chapter 7 before I dive in a little bit deeper. So we want everybody to understand. You got to keep in mind. I want to go in the book of Daniel, right? I want to show you the four beasts, right? I don't have that book with me. So the four beasts, all right? The first is the Babylonian beast. The second beast is the Mid-Persian beast. And the third beast is what? The Greek beast. And the fourth beast is what? The Roman Empire beast. You gotta understand, which is the ruler or the ruling of the so-called white people until this very last. They've been ruling for a while, for a long season or a long time. I'll say since 33 BC, since 33 BC, if I'm not wrong, 33 or 63 BC, before HAMASHIACH, you're gonna understand. Right? I could be wrong, right? So let's read. He said, let's jump to verses. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, and verses 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, right? The ancient Babylon. So Daniel had a dream, a vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the son of the matter. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove, upon the great sea. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The diverse is different kingdom. Diverse. They are not the same. They're different. You have the Babylonian, all right? You have the Mede-Persian, you have the Greeks, and you got the Romans. Totally different. They are not the same. Okay? They are not equal. They are not equal. And they are not the same people. Totally different people. Different people. Keep that in mind. He said the first was like a lion. Why? Because Nebuchadnezzar, right? That's the lion. It had eagle's wings. All right? And he said, I beheld the wing thereof were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to eat. You understand? Verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear. So when you read that, you know what is he talking about? He's talking about the Mede-Persian. The Mede-Persian, right? Right? Which is, if we were to break it down today, we will say East Indian and Iranian, right? East Indian and Iranian. You understand, right? That the second beast like unto a bear, right? And it raised up itself on one side and had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said, thus unto it, arise, devour my flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. You know who? The Greeks. The Greeks. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. We have upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. You understand? The beast has also 4 heads, which represent the 4 general of who? Of I'll say Alexander the Great after he died. And dominion was given unto it. After this is the verse 7, right? So we got 3 beasts so far, this is the 4th. After this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast. That 4th beast is referring to the Roman Empire, which is ruled or run by the so-called white people until this very last day. Now, if you don't know, you don't understand. The Roman Empire today is I'll say the headquarters, the foundation today of the Roman Empire is Babylon the Great, aka the United Snake of America. I mean, come on, it's very simple. It's very simple. It's very simple if you don't understand. And after this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, the 4th beast, dreadful, right? The so-called white man is dreadful, all right? And terrible. The so-called white man is terrible. They drop bombs, they do all type of evil. Right now, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, they say America and NATO, they're staging a chemical attack in Ukraine, and they're going to blame Russia on that. It's not the first time. You remember the white helmets in Syria? The USA set up, they use some type of chemical deadly, and they blame Bashar al-Assad for it. That's how they do. They use chemical in Vietnam, in Japan, all these places. That's what they do. Okay, so that's why the scriptures say, ain't terrible, and strong and sinly. So it's only 4 beasts. There is no 5th beast. All right, there is no 5th beast or 6th beast, 7 beasts. No. Only 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first was the Babylonian. The second, who? The Mede-Persian. He make it 2. Follow up. And the third, the Greeks. And after the third, the 4th, who? The Roman Empire, aka the so-called white people in general. They're the one ruling right now. It doesn't matter the world. It doesn't matter the country. Whether it be in Asia, whether it be in Africa, whether it be in Europe, in the island, North America, Central South. Listen, the Mediterranean, they run everything. Keep that in mind. Say, let's continue. He said, and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and had great iron teeth. It devoured and break in pieces. That's the so-called white man. All right? And stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse. They're diverse. They're different. They are not the same people. That's Esau. Esau, Edom is different, diverse. You can't look, they're different people, different group of people. You understand? Was diverse from all the beasts. They're not the same. It's different beasts. And sometimes, brother, they try to say, well, yeah, the Greeks are Edomite. No, I don't know that for sure. Maybe today, but according to the scripture, they're different people. Esau try and conquer, take over Greece, which they did after the time of the Greek were over. You got to understand that. They mixed with the people. Originally, the Greeks, right? Those were the children of Japheth. Esau is not the son of Japheth. You understand? And Esau was not born in Greece. Esau was not born in Greece. Esau was born in the land of Canaan. When you go in the book of Genesis, chapter 25, Genesis chapter 27, to go to Genesis chapter 35, and Genesis chapter 36. You'll read about it. You go to, I believe, is First Chronicle, if I'm not wrong. You can read about it. All right? So here, when you read it, the beasts, they're diverse. The first is a lion. Is a lion the same as what? As a bear? No. You understand? Is a lion, right? Is a lion the same as a bear? It's two different animals. They got different power, different spirit. They operate differently. You understand? And they're beasts, but you got different beasts. The beasts are not all the same. All right? Then you got another third beast, which is a leopard. A leopard is not a lion. It's two different animals. You understand? Two different animals, two different beasts. And the fourth was not revealed unto Daniel. The Most High did not expand it to Daniel. But the Most High expanded unto who? Esdras. All right? He said, and diverse, and it was diverse from all the beasts, right? That were before it, and it had 10 horns. You don't understand that. So it's totally different people, group of people, or nation, kingdom. All right. So let's go right here. I want to jump to verses 17. All right. Actually, let's go. Yeah, verse 17. He said, "These great beasts, which are four kings." When you read kings, it's not literally talking about king. It's talking about kingdom, nations. All right. The Most High deal with nations. All right. Four kings. You understand? We shall rise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. The Israelite, the so-called blacks, Latino, and Native, that will endure to the end. The saints, those that kept the law of the commandment, those that repent and doing the best that they can every day, endure until the end, they will take the kingdom. All right? And possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So after the fall of the fourth beast, there is no other kingdom. The Chinese ain't going to rule anything, because the destruction will follow right after the destruction of Babylon the Great. Just keep that in mind. After America is destroyed, there is going to be Asia. All hell is going to break loose in Asia. You understand? And we're going to show you some of this article that we're talking about. Let me go right here. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, right? We're going to show you, right? You got to understand. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, all right? Chapter 11, right? And I'm going to read, actually, let me jump to verses 37. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out a man voice unto the eagle. Unto who? Unto the eagle. All right? The eagle is what? That's the fourth kingdom. The eagle is the fourth beast, is the fourth nation that's going to rule. And the end of the world, of this world, is going to end on the fourth kingdom. The fourth kingdom is the kingdom of Esau, Edom. They're ruling everywhere. The north, the south, the east, and west. They rule everywhere. Right now, they're the one in power. They're the one in charge of all things, whether you believe it or not. That's why you go to Job 9:24. It tells you the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. You go in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2, you read about it. You go in the book of, I'll say, Job chapter 20, you read the same things. So make no mistake about it. We're going to prove it to you. Right? Let's read it. It says, hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the higher shall say unto thee, are not thou he that remainest of the four beasts? The four beasts, I told you, the lion, which represent the ancient Babylon, Babylon. You have the bear, which represent who? The Mid-Persia, okay? And you have who? The leper, which represent the Greeks, okay? And then you have the fourth, which is the eagle, right? The ancient symbol of the Roman, so-called Roman, is the eagle. The symbol of America is the eagle. Germany, ancient France of Napoleon, ancient Italy, ancient Spain, they all use the eagle. Ancient England, they all use the eagle, right? So it's nothing new under the sun. So let's continue. Are not thou he that remainest of the four beasts? It's only four beasts. He didn't even mention that then Daniel saw another beast, a fifth beast that was like unto a dragon. No, Daniel didn't see any. He only saw three beasts, pray man, or four, but the four was not revealed to him. He saw a beast. He couldn't remember what he saw. The Mosai blind him because the Mosai doesn't want him to see that. The Mosai got another prophet is going to reveal that unto you. You got to understand. All right? Whom I've made to reign in my world. So it's not about you voting. It's not about what CNN news say. It's not about what BBC news say. It's not about what the WEF, the WEF, the World Forum Economic. It doesn't matter what they say. What matters right here is what the Mosai want to go down. It's all about the Mosai. Does God want the Chinese or Asian to take power after the fall of America or the fall of the so-called white men? Does the Mosai want it? No. The Mosai does not want it. The Mosai is against it. The Mosai doesn't want the Chinese to rule anything. The Mosai does not want the Russian to rule anything. The Mosai does not want it. You got to understand that. It's not about your feelings, how you feel, how many PhD you got, how many social politics science classes you've taken, Harvard University, you've taken in the blah, 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 this university. It's not about that. It's about the word of God. Does God want the Chinese to take over after the fall of America and rule? The Japanese, South Korea, North Korea? The Mosai does not want it. Is India? No. The Mosai does not want it. Okay? So stick with God. It's not about your feelings, your emotion. You feel this. I think your thought is vain. Your thought is trash, garbage. You understand? The word of the Mosai must stand. Okay? The prophecy, just keep that in mind. It's not about how you feel, your PhD. I told you, it's all vain. Your wisdom that you acquire from Satan is garbage, it's trash. The dung has more value than the wisdom you gain in this world. It's very simple. Right? So let's read it again. He said, hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest, the Most High, shall say unto thee, Come, are not thou he that remainest of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world? So the Most High made these fourth beasts to rule in his world. It's not about politics. It's not about democracy. It's not about NATO. It's not about the best military complex, the military industrial complex, blah, blah, blah. It's not about that. The Most High set up who he wants to rule. All right? He said, that the end of the times, might come through them. You understand? The end of this time, the end of this generation is going to come through who? The fourth beast, the so-called white man. It's very simple. That's why you see all this propaganda. They're pushing for propaganda. They're pushing for more light, more wine, deception. And when we use wine right here, we're talking about satanic doctrines, right? The wine of the beast. Who is the beast? The ego. Esau, Edom. You see, ego with E, Esau with E. Is that a coincidence? No. It's not by coincidence. The Most High, He picked His word. Everything the Most High does is not coincidence. It has a meaning. So the simple they don't understand. Esau, ego. How do you write ego? It starts with a capital E, right? Or E. Esau, you write it with E. Same thing. The beast, that beast was the eagle. And you know, the eagle is the bird of prey. So let's read it again. Let's continue reading. He said, that the end of the time might come through them. And the fourth came, the fourth nation, who is Esau, Edom, Idumea, Bosra, the Chaldean, the magician, the sorcerers. All right, let's keep on rolling. And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past. You understand? The so-called white men overcame all the beasts that were before them, all the nation, all the empire that were before them, starting with what? The ancient Babylon, okay, the Mid-Persia, the Greeks, they overcame them. More evil, more wicked than all this. That's why you see more evil. That's why they're plotting war all over the face of the earth. Let's continue. That will pass and have power over the world with great fearfulness. Everybody's scared of the so-called white man. Everybody worship the so-called white man. Show me one nation that they don't worship the so-called white man. Show me one. They all worship the so-called white man. All of them. All of them. Listen, whether it be the Chinese, whether it be Russia, whether it be Saudi Arabia, whether it be the Israelite, whether it be the East India, they worship the so-called white man. All of them, it doesn't matter. Listen, now some of you be thinking in your mind, you think, well, I just worship. No, you worship them. You don't understand, right? This is what we call, it's called what? Sexual immorality, right? Sexual fornication, right? When you look at them as God, because when you turn on your TV, who do you see? You see the so-called white men in suit and tie. They're the one running all your TV, all your business. They run the IMF, the World Bank. They run your banks. They run your education curriculum. They run your whatever you name it. They run your military complex. They run everything. You understand? That's what we're reading right here is in the Bible. And that's why they took out the Apocrypha from the Bible. It's not by coincidence that they took the Apocrypha from the Bible. It's not by coincidence. Mainly, first and second Esdras. It's not by coincidence. It's not by mistake. What kind of mistake is that you remove two books, like not just two, it's a 14 book, but you just remove like books from the, you say by mistake? What kind of mistake is that? Right? So let's keep on reading. Watch this. He said, with great over the world, the so-called white men rule over the world. And after the fall of the so-called white men, keep in mind, the Chinese ain't going to rule anything. All right? I don't know why you all getting excited. You think China is going to be the multipolarity, Russia and China BRICS. Is not happening. It's not happening. It's enough of this weakness, man. We are fed up. We are tired of this oppression. You understand? And you think you're just going to continue doing the same cycle over, we're just going to be right here and just watching you do all. No, man. The Most High is about to take everything down. Okay, let's keep on rolling. He said, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past and have power over the world with great fearfulness and over the whole compass of the earth. So-called white men. The so-called white. You can't make this up. Take a look. Go look in the history. World War I, World War II. What race, what group of people were behind World War I, World War II? All the evil you see on this earth going on, what group of people is behind it? Is Esau, Edom? You know what behind it, right? Let's see. Compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. With what? With much wicked oppression. Let's go to Job 9:24. Let me read that quick, right? I'm going to go to Job 9:24, and I'm going to bring another precept as well to explain. The most I move the spirit, we go by that, right? This is the book of Job, right? Job chapter 9. This is the book of Job chapter 9 and verses 24. Just to precept what I just read in verse 40. He said, over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. All right, so let's read it. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Let's go to Malachi. We're going to go to Malachi, right? To prove you that they're the number one wicked people, group of people on the face of the earth, according to the Bible. So it doesn't matter if you like it, you believe it. It doesn't matter. We ain't worried about your feelings or your emotion, things like that. We ain't worried about it. This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verses 3. It said, where, verse 4, let's read it. Whereas Edom, right? That's another name for the so-called white man. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. They return and they build Jerusalem, for example, right? They're building Jerusalem, they build America, they build Saudi Arabia, they build Africa, they build Europe, they build Greece, they build all desolate places, right? Thou saith the Lord of hosts, who? The Most High. So I told you, it's not about your professor of political science. It's not about your professor that told you that this and that. It's not about that. It's about the Most High. Point blank period. All right? It doesn't matter what your professor say, what Joe Biden say, what does this institution say. No. What matters the most is what God said in the Bible, in his word. All right? He said, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thou saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of weakness. Esau, Edom is the border. You know what is the border? A border tell you the limit of what your land, your house, your property, your field, and the list goes on and on and on. So the Most High say, the limit of weakness is the so-called white man, is Esau, Edom. Esau, Edom, very simple. He said, well, the border of weakness is all capital T. The sentence is not over, right? The border of weakness, comma, right? Understand that, right? The people against whom? The people against whom? The family, right? The group against whom the Lord had indignation forever. So there's nothing you can do to change that. You can't change. That's said the Most High. That's said God. That's what God said. It doesn't matter how I feel, how you feel, how your mama feel, your pastor, it doesn't matter. Right? He said, well, and so long time dwell he upon the earth with deceit. That's the strong wine of the so-called white man, right? I'll give you an example of those strong wine. Christianity, Islam, democracy, right? Television, Hollywood, movies, and the list goes on and on. Sports, right? It's called bread and circus, and the list goes on and on, right? New doctrine, new satanic doctrine, ancient satanic doctrine. Let's keep on rolling. He said, and so long time dwell he upon the earth with deceit, Everything they teach you, they tell you, Esau, Edom, the so-called white, is all lie, is deceit. They deceive you. They deceive you. They call us black. Are we black? We are not black. I'm not black. Am I literally black? I'm not black. I'm brown and beautiful. That's the Most High. My hair's black, right? But my skin upon me is not black. You understand? They tell you, yeah, you just came from West Africa. No, that's a lie. We from Jerusalem. Let's keep on rolling. He said, for the earth has thou not judged with truth. They don't judge the earth according to the law of the commandment of the Most High. Right? How do we know? You go right here. Let me show you. Right? You can't make this stuff up. What is the truth? The Most High said, if you need to judge according to the Bible, according to the Torah. The Torah, that's the foundation. All right? But they came up with satanic law, right? Just to oppress everyone on the face of the earth. Let's go in the book of Psalm, right? Let's go to Psalm 119 and 142, if I'm not wrong. All right, let's go to Psalm 119 and 142, if I'm not wrong. Right, let's read it. This is the book of Psalm 119 and 142. That righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and the law is the truth. What is the truth? The law of the Most High, the instruction of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, HAMASHIACH, YAHAWASHI. You understand? It's not about, your so-called constitution, the new law you set up, all this. Nah, you listen. You're supposed to judge the earth, men and women, according to the law, the Torah, according to the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. You didn't do that, right? Let's read it again, right? Let's read it again, right? We're going to address it before we jump into Asia, so you can understand why the Asian people, they're acting up the way they're acting up. The reason why you see Japan, China, all these countries acting up the way they're acting is because of the so-called white men. The so-called white men got everybody drunken. They deceive and seduce everybody. You never see the Japanese, have deal negotiation with us like that, with so-called black people, so-called Latino. No, they don't do that because they don't see in us anything interesting. We don't have anything good to offer the so-called Japanese, Chinese. We don't have anything good to offer them. So they don't look at us as being the salt of the earth, even though the Bible says we're the salt of the earth. Who do they look up unto? They look up unto the so-called white men. Everybody, the East Indian. Do you see East Indian inquire from the so-called black people? No. East Indian, they inquire from the so-called white people. You understand? It's very simple. So for me to break down what's going on, what's going to happen to Asia after the fall of America, I got to go to this. So you got to understand, you got to see the weakness of the so-called white men. It's very simple. We got to break that down. So you got to see, don't got to sink in your mind. You got to meditate upon that. Then you can understand why the Asian, they're acting up the way they're acting up. Right? You got to understand that. Let's keep on rolling. Right? So he said right here that what? He said what? That, and that law is the truth. The law of the Most High is the truth. All right? All right? Let's continue. He said, for the earth has thou not judged with the truth. Because when you call in the Bible, you have the book that is called the book of the Judges. The Judges were the Israelites. A good example of Judges was Moses. Moses was judge over Israel. Why? Because he understand the law of the commandment. He kept the law of the commandment of the Most High. Let's continue. For the earth has thou not judged with truth. For thou hast afflicted the meek. Thou hast heard the peaceable. You see, with the peaceable one, they heard us. Right? You got some of these nations that are peaceable. They are not looking for any trouble. Esau, Edom, the so-called white men, he heard those peaceable nations, even though they don't look for any trouble. The native Indian, so-called native Indian, our people, our forefathers, they were in peace here in the land. Guess what? They came and they murdered them and killed them. Right? Let's keep on rolling. For thou hast afflicted the meek. Thou hast heard the peaceable. That's what they do. That's what the so-called white men do. That thou hast loved liars. You see, they only love liars, man. If you're doing evil, they're down with you. The so-called white man looking for those that will continue to lie as he loves to lie, because he's the father of lie. All right? Let's continue reading. He said, what? He said, and destroy the dwelling of them that brought forth fruits. They destroy Jerusalem. They destroy the house of every nation, and has cast down the walls of such as did no harm. Right? Our forefather, the so-called native, they didn't do no harm to the so-called white men. The children of Japheth, they didn't do no harm to the so-called white men. Matter of fact, they were born in totally different hemisphere, totally different land. The children of Japheth, they were born in part of Europe, the island in Europe, things like that, right? A little bit part of Asia. And the so-called white man was born in the land of Canaan, which is far, but they waged war against every nation and took their land, man, right? Therefore is the wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and the pride unto the mighty. The so-called white man is so proud. They don't like the truth. The so-called white man is so proud. They're so proud. That's why the Most High say, pride go before destruction, right? They're so proud, right? They're so proud, right? They're so proud, right? Let's go right here, right? This is the book of Proverbs 11:2. Proverbs 11:2. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom, right? Let's read. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 5. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. So the so-called white man is an abomination unto the Most High. They're too proud. You can't tell them the truth. You cannot break down to the so-called white men that the so-called blacks, Latino, and Native, according to the Bible, the scripture history, that we are the Israelites. They won't accept it. At least we know Nebuchadnezzar, he acknowledged that we're the Jew. Nebuchadnezzar, he acknowledged that we're the children of the Most High. This heathen, this Edomite, they don't acknowledge the so-called blacks, Latino, and Native Indian, Somali, Indian. They don't acknowledge us to be the children of God. They don't acknowledge us. They call us blacks, Native Indian, Hispanic, Latino, blah, blah, blah. That's what they call us, right? It said everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though he join hand, he shall not be unpunished. He shall not be unpunished. So so-called white men will not be unpunished. They will be punished. Right? Proverbs 29:23. A man's pride shall bring him low. So what is going to bring the so-called white man low? His pride. What is going to bring America low down? The pride of America. All right? A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. You understand? John 2:16-18. I love this one. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verses 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. The spirit of the so-called white man is haughty. The spirit of America, Babylon the Great, is haughty. So the fall is nigh, man. The fall is nigh. Let's go back right here. All right? Let's go back right here. He said the highest, this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 11 and 45, 44. The highest also had looked upon the proud times. You see, the proud time, right? The Most High look upon the proud time, man. You understand? The Most High, he looked upon the proud time of America, the so-called white men, right? The ancient Roman Empire, all the evil you've done when you took our forefathers as a slave, you murdered them, all type of evil. Yeah, the Most High look upon those times. Right? And behold, they are ended. So you understand? They ended. All right? and his abomination. I just read it to you, right? That's why the word proud go with abomination. If you're proud in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, it means you are an abomination. So everything you do is trash, is garbage. It doesn't matter. That's what we're reading, right? Same word right here. Proverbs 16 and 18. And I'm reading 2nd Ezra 11 and 44. The highest also had looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended. You understand? And his abomination are fulfilled. Right? And therefore appear no more, thou eagle. The eagle is the so-called white man. The eagle represents in general the so-called white men, so-called white people. You understand? It's very simple. The eagle, that's the aim, look, that's the power, that's the beast. You understand? Right? And therefore appear no more, verse 45 of 2nd Ezra 11, no more. Thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings. See? The horrible wings. Talking about the EU, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, whatever you name it. Okay? All right? He said, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, the little country that came out of it, nor thy malicious head. Is many head that they got. France, Germany, England, right? Turkey, and the list goes on and on and on. Unless when we know in Turkey, you have a lot of Edomite in Turkey. You have a lot of Edomite. Some of them are Arabs. Some of them are the children of Japhet. Right? Right? So let's keep on rolling. He said, nor the hurtful claws, nor all that vain body. You see, the Most High said their body is vain. So they're good for nothing. That all the earth may be refreshed. So you gotta understand that look, once the Most High destroy Esau, Edom, the so-called white men, the earth will be at peace. All the nation, you don't have to worry about GMO food. You don't have to worry about gluten-free bread. There won't be nobody looking for gluten-free bread. No, you don't have to worry about where you need a passport to travel, to go here and there. You need, where is your ID? Oh, yeah, you need to pay taxes. You don't have to worry about that. There'll be peace. There'll be peace on the earth. You understand? Right now, everybody's stressed. It's different level of stress, right? As long as the so-called white man is in power, ruling, people will be stressed on the face of the earth. Because you don't know when they're going to invade your country. You don't know when they're going to force this on you. When they're going to say, if you don't have this, you can't go over there. You can't do this. No one knows. Only the Most High know when all this is going to end, right? But the day the Most High is going to destroy the so-called white men, take the power from the so-called white people and put them to slavery for 1,000 years, and after that, God, guess what? The earth will be at peace. The earth will be refreshed. The fish, they'll be happy. The birds, they'll be happy. Because the fish, they don't have to worry about chemical, about somebody dumping some chemical, somebody drilling some oil down the water and polluting the water, killing the fish, and the list goes on and on and on. You don't have to worry about chemtrail. They're just flying some wicked jet plane, spraying chemical all over the world, making everybody sick, just doing all type of wickedness. You don't have to worry about that, man. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to. Let's read it again. He said, that all the earth may be refreshed and may return. Right now, the earth cannot return. As long as the so-called white man is alive, no, man. You don't understand. They have nuclear bombs. Do you think there will be peace? There won't be no peace. They're telling you about peace. Don't believe it. Sudden destruction. And when they shall say peace, 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 sudden destruction. Keep that in mind. There is no peace unto the wicked, I've said the Most High. Right? All right? He said, being delivered from that violence. The earth, the whole earth need to be delivered from the violence of the so-called white men. You can't make this stuff up, man. That's why I told you go to Job 9:24. You read about it. You read about it in the book of Job 9:24. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. The earth is out of course because of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. You understand? We fell off as a nation. We fell off. And it's because of our fall that this heathen, they have done so much wickedness on the earth. Because if we were in check, keeping the commandment, this won't have happened. Because we fell off as a nation, so-called black Latino, we rebelled against the Most High. So the kingdom was transferred to our nation. And it destroyed the earth. They would have done it if we were ruling, we were doing things properly. You understand? Let's go. He said, being delivered from that violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. You understand? So the earth right now is hoping for the judgment of God. You know, the earth is mad at the so-called white man. Just think about it. The whole earth, the most sacred, the tree, the flower, the birds, the water, the fish. Listen, they're very mad and angry at the so-called white man, because the so-called white man destroy everything. You can't find natural organic food. I mean, it's hard. They genetically modify everything. GMO soybean, GMO bean, GMO corn, GMO rice, GMO this, all is GMO. And this food originally were to provide unto many women what they need to stay decent. You understand? No, no more. And they turned everything to weakness. So let's jump to chapter 12 actually, right? All right. Let's jump to 2nd Ezra 12 and let's read from verses 10. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea, right, is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel, but it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare unto thee, behold, the days will come that there shall rise up a kingdom upon earth, the so-called white man, and it shall be feared above all the kingdom that were before it. You understand? All right? You understand? So with that now, let's go right here. I want to go to some of this article. We're going to go right here. So you take a look at, you say, what's going on in Asia? Why this Asian country, they are in bed with America? Because they're prostituting right now. Right? Right? Let's go right here. It said, deadline extended for incentive campaign to apply for my number ID card. Where in Japan? Where did they learn this from? They learned it from the beast, from the eagle. They learned it from the so-called white man. Mainly, the headquarters of the Roman Empire today is the United States of America. Right? It says Japan's government has extended the deadline of an incentive campaign for people to apply for my number ID card with certain conditions due to congestion at municipal offices by last-minute applicants. In the campaign, points worth of 20,000 yen, or about $146. So that's what they'll give you to seduce you to go down with the ID, my number ID, or whatever you name it, right? All right, are given to those who receive my number card and register to use the card for public health insurance. So that card, you're going to use it for your health, for public health insurance. You understand? To get the point, people must apply for the card by Tuesday, today. Though application for points will be accepted through May, right? The Internal Affairs Ministry announced an emergency measure to accept application for the card on Wednesday, and even later for those who went to municipal offices on Tuesday. The ministry is allowing municipal authority to work out details such as providing ticket as proof of Tuesday visit to the offices. The ministry is also allowing one more day for online application as the site are hard to access due to heavy use. Right? That's what we're telling you. That's where the destruction of Asia is going to follow after the destruction of Babylon the Great, aka the United States of America. Right? They copy the wickedness of America. Right? He said that those who complete the application Wednesday will be eligible to get the point. Right? Let's go right here. Right? I want to read this. Right? Let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 8. Right? I want to read something very important, right? So you can understand. This is the book of 2 Ezra chapter 8. And we're going to read verses 27, right? Regard not the wicked invention of the heathen. You understand? My number ID is a wicked invention. From who? The so-called white man that he sold it. He fastened it upon everybody everywhere. They're forcing everybody everywhere. It's part of the beast system. It's part of the beast system. We saw that earlier, I think, in Ohio. Early, the first week of Ohio, they were pushing for that. Some type of ID in Ohio that you're going to use for health. You're going to use it for blah, blah, blah. Okay? It said, regard not the wicked invention of the heathen, the Japanese, the Edomite, the Ishmaelite, the Elamite, okay? But the desire of those that keep that testimony in affliction. So, brother and sister, what we're inviting you, don't fall for this trap. Don't fall for this weakness of Esau, Edom, or the rest of the nation, or the other. Don't fall for it, but rather be impressed by the brother that keep the law and the commandment. Brother should be excited. You should be happy. You should follow. You should walk in the steps of the brother and the sister that are walking as our Lord and Savior and King YAHAWASHI HAMASHIACH have walked. Follow those ones. Be in contact with the brother and the sister that keep the law and the commandment. Don't worry about somebody came up with this technology. They came up with AI or IA, blah, 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 artificial intelligence. They got this Robocop that can work. Don't worry about those things. But you got to be happy. You got to be in touch, in communication with the brother and the sister that keep the law, the commandment of the Most High. Let's jump to 13. Let's go to 13, right? We're going to go to 13, right? This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 13, and we're going to read verse 37. And this, my son, who HAMASHIACH, YAHAWASHI, right, shall rebuke the wicked invention of those nations. So HAMASHIACH is going to rebuke, destroy, right, the wicked invention of these so-called, you name it, right? Right? The Most High said his son, HAMASHIACH, is going to rebuke this, my number ID card from the Japanese, from the Babylonian, from the Edomite. The Most High said it's going to be destroyed. All right? He said, which for their wicked life are falling into tempest, and shall lay before them the evil thought, and the torment wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire. The law of the Most High is like unto fire, man. You're going to be judged by the law that you rejected, to go worship Buddha, to worship Hinduism, yoga, to worship politicians, to worship the cross. The same law is going to judge you. Just go right down on the wall somewhere. The hand is on the wall writing for you, right? You might want to get ready and start running, right? Let me show you, all right? Let me show you what is going on, all right? This is part of, now, maybe some brother, you don't know what are the country What are the countries, when we mention Asia, let me show you what are the countries that are part of Asia. I want to show you some of the list. All right. We're going to take a look at some of the lists. What are the countries that are part of Asia, right? List of countries in Asia, and you can go through this website. Is called countryoftheworld.com, right? List of countries, right? It's a big list of countries in Asia. Being the biggest continent in the world, Asia includes 50 independent countries and occupies the eastern part of the single Eurasian landmass, surrounded by the Arctic Ocean from the north, by the Pacific Ocean from the east, and by the Indian Ocean from the south. It is separated from Africa by Suez Canal. The Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea separate Asia from Europe. Further, the overland border runs through the Caucasus Mountain, the Caspian Sea, the Ural River, and the Ural Mountain. This boundary crosses through the territory of Russia, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey. So these states are in both continents. Some of them part of Europe and part of Asia. So let's read. So this is some of the countries in Asia. You have Afghanistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan. You get Bahrain, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Brunei, Cambodia, right? China, right? Just keep in mind, Cyprus, Georgia, right? That's why you heard of a minor Asia, right? You understand? India, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, right? Right? I think they put also Israel, right? Right? Let's keep on rolling. Say Japan, you see that? Japan, right? You say Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Laos, right? Lebanon, Malaysia. Now, Lebanon is what? So-called Middle East, all right? Malaysia, Maldives, Mongolia, Myanmar, Nepal, North Korea, Oman, Pakistan, Palestine, Philippines, Qatar, Russia. Part of Russia is part of Asia. Saudi Arabia, Singapore, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Syria, Taiwan, Tajikistan, Thailand, Timor-Leste, Turkey, Turkmenistan, United Arab Emirates, Uzbekistan, Vietnam, and Yemen. So you got a whole list of countries. So the Moses is getting ready. You're going to see Asia on fire, right? The whole Asia will be on fire, man, because the land got to be clean to prepare the coming and the return of our Lord and Savior, the HAMASHIACH. The land must be fully clean, right? Make no mistake about it. Asia, minor Asia, and major Asia, and Middle East are going to be fully cleansed. The Mosai cleaning with fire, you understand? Nuclear bombs, missile, drones, fire. The Mosai clean. The Mosai purge. The Mosai sanctify Asia, minor Asia, and Middle East. The Mosai clean all those areas after the fall of America. You understand? After the fall of America, then Asia will be next, right? And Asia is vast. You see all those countries. So let's go back to this, the Japanese website, right? It's a media watch. Japan, India. These two countries are in Asia. Joint anti-terrorist drill. They're practicing for war. They're talking about terrorists. Who are the terrorists? They're the only one who knows it, right? Who are the terrorists? They're the only one who knows. It says Japan Ground Self-Defense Force and the Indian Army have been holding joint drill since February 17 for the first time in Japan. So they're doing this thing in Japan. And guess who is giving them the green light to do that? Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great. America gave them the green light. They can't do this thing just on their own. No. The media attended an exercise on Tuesday. Reporter observed one drill at a training area in Shiga Prefecture, Western Japan. The drill involved flushing out terrorists from a building in an urban area. Units from both sides stormed the building together and conducted measures to secure safety. Previous exercises have been carried out in India since 2018, as it has a better training environment that include live fire drill. What India? India requested that the latest drill take place in Japan. Japan and India are working together in various fields, including security, with an eye on the Chinese military. You understand? So you're about to see. We want brother to focus. Brother, you got to watch the time we right now. Listen, I understand there's a lot of going on, but brother, you got to stay focused on the prophecy. What is going on? You got to keep track, mainly in Asia, because right now, the so-called white men, through America, mainly America, Babylon the Great, they're hoarding. You know what I mean to hoard, right? They're hoarding military, I'll say, a complex military equipment, war machine. They're hoarding a lot of things toward Asia as we're speaking right now, just to wage war against China, against North Korea, and against Russia at the same time. You understand? So that's where we got to stay put up. All right? Like you say, so you got East India or Indian and Japanese, they coming together and keeping their eyes on the Chinese military. So at any time, if the Most High move the spirit at any time, you can see India, even though India and China, they're part of the BRICS, if the Most High move the spirit, the East India, they can jump on the Chinese. You got to keep that in mind. Vice versa, the Most High can move the spirit on the Chinese, and they're going to jump on the East India. The Most High control all things. All right, so let's continue. Which is stepping up its activity. Last month, Japan's Air Self-Defense Forces and the Indian Air Force carried out the first joint exercise in Japan. Right? Okay. GSDF officer said India's army is experienced in dealing with terrorism. They said they hope to improve combat tactics and boost bilateral cooperation through the joint drill. So you can see what is happening toward Asia right now, right? So don't get distracted right now as what is going on right now between the U.S., Babylon the Great, and their brother, the ally, the so-called, European versus Russia, right? Keep that in mind, right? So let's go right here. Here is another article we got to bring out quick, right? Like I say, unfortunately, I can't share this, right? Before I go, I've done it. But now, since I've been attacked, Satan is attacking me. They're attacking my laptop back and forth. They don't want me to do the live, right? They do all type of, I can't share this thing. I usually share my screen, but I have a lengthy, I'll say, description, link in the description box, right? So you can, I don't know if you can read it, right? If you can read, you can see the military. That's the U.S. military and what? The U.S. military in Thailand and the Thai. You understand? So brother, you got to stay in the spirit. Brother, got to make sure you keep in the commandment, right? Our brother that live in Asia, our brother and sister that want to move to Asia, you better stay in the spirit. Don't fall asleep, right? You better stay on the top of the prophecy, right? You say Thailand hosts annual U.S. Asia joint military drill, right? This is Thailand and the U.S., right? They're prepping to fight China. All this is to contain China and North Korea and nothing else, right? You got to keep that in mind, all right? So these are war and rumors of war. You go in the book of Matthew, you can read about it, right? He said, one of Asia's largest annual joint military drills has gotten underway in Thailand. We're in Thailand, which is co-sponsoring the Cobra Gold with the U.S., with who? Babylon the Great. The exercise involved 30 nations, right? 30 countries, all right? And a total of 7,400 personnel, right? You understand? So it's 30 countries from Asia, all right? And other part, probably you might see Australia being part of it, right? It's a dignitary attended an opening ceremony at a Thai military base in Eastern Rayon province on Tuesday. This year marks the first full-scale program after small exercises were held in the recent year due to the pandemic. Robert Godek, the U.S. ambassador to Thailand, said Cobra Gold helps advance our common interests, build interoperability, and serve as a demonstration of our dedication to our allies. What does it mean? They're having sex, spiritual sex. Spiritual sex. Who? Babylon the Great whore, the prostitute, the United States of America, and Thailand, Japan, South Korea, and the list goes on in the Philippines, and the list goes on and on and on. Right? And partners. Right? Usually when you use the word partners, it's either your wife or your husband. Right? Whether it be men with women or women with men. Right? We're talking about the original one. And ensuring, so when they're talking about those with whom they're committing what? Spiritual whoredom, spiritual fornication, and ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The ambassador stressed the importance of strengthening U.S. military cooperation with Asian countries. China has been increasing its influence in the Indo-Pacific region. And that's why you see the American general or officer that came like 2 weeks or a month ago, and they said there will be a major war between the U.S. and China by 2025. That's what they say. Now, is that true? We don't know. Are they correct? We don't know. Maybe they're plotting to do that to start a war with China. Like I say, they're bringing a lot of military complexes, military, tools in Asia to wage a war against China and North Korea. So when would that go off? We don't know. We believe it's going to be after the fall of Babylon the Great. We believe so. Now, could that happen right now? It's possible. Only the Most High knows. But we want brother to repent and keep the commandment and stay in the spirit. Officials say new exercise will address responding to attack in space. Participating team will confirm procedure working with multiple countries to protect satellites. They will also engage in regular training, such as large-scale landing drill. The exercise will run through March 10th. You understand? So there's a tense. It's tense, right? Right. The demons are present. Are we speaking right now in Asia? So war can break off at any time. We don't know. All right. Let's go right here. Let's go to this article right here, and I want to share the screen with you, right? By the Spirit of the Most High. Right. Let me see. All right. So you can see right here on my screen. All right. You can see right here on my screen. Right. Take a look at it. You see the egg price? See what he said right there? You see that? All right. So I'm going to read you the title. It said, wholesale egg price in Tokyo hit record high in February. You understand? All right. Let's read it. It said, soaring feed cost and the spread of bird flu has pushed up egg price in Tokyo to an all-time high. This is part of the Bible prophecy. And we're going to read it. It said the benchmark average wholesale price of medium-sized eggs has surged 86% from a year earlier. A kilogram now costs 327 yen or $2.40. That's the highest figure since 1993. They never see such price since 1993. That's how we know. Let's go right here. This is the book of Second. Before I finish this article, right? This is the book of Second Esdras, chapter 15 and verses 45. Right? Let's read. And they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear. And thou Asia, or who? Asia, Japan, China, India, North Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, and the list goes on and on and on. that are partaker of the hope of Babylon. That the hope of Babylon. I just show you they're having what military drill all over the place, just to boost, just to help the Babylonian, the great Babylonian, right? Japan. All right. He said, Asia, that are partaker of the hope of Babylon, and are the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee. The word war just means destruction. Destruction unto Japan, China, South Korea, North Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, India, and the list goes on and on and on. All right? Why? For oppressing the children of God. All right? He said, woe be unto thee, thou wretch. The Most High called them what? Wretch. Because thou hast made thyself like unto her. Like unto who? Like unto Babylon the Great. Like unto America. Like unto the United States of America. These Asians, they love the way of America. They want to live like America. They want to do everything. They want to eat. They want to dress up like America. They used to have their own clothing, their own garment. No, they don't want that anymore. They want to dress up like Esau, Edom. All right? He said, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. You see, they copy after Babylon the Great. They copy and follow and mimic after the United States of America. All right? He said, and has decked thy daughters in whoredom. Right? Asia, the continent in general, the mother, right? He decked her daughter. Who are those daughters? Let me show you the daughter. These are the daughters that the Bible is speaking about. Afghanistan, right? Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, right? Thailand, right? Malaysia, Nepal, Cambodia, China, right? India, right? Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, Turkmenistan. That's what we're reading right here. The daughter, these are the daughter. The motherland is Asia, right? Asia being the mother, her daughter are those countries that came out of Asia. China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Philippines, Myanmar, Cambodia, and the list goes on and on and on. I can list everything for you. You're gonna need to look into it. Right? Right? He said, and has decked thy daughter in whoredom, that they may please and glory in thy lovers. Right? We have always desired. He said, American has always desired, the so-called white man has always desired to commit whoredom with thee. They always want to commit spiritual whoredom, fornication, adultery with this Asian country. And that's what we're reading. All right? That's what we're reading right now, as we're speaking right now. All right? He said, with thee, thou hast followed Asia, this Asiatic country, this Asian country, they have followed her. Who is the head? America, Babylon the Great. Her that is headed in all her works and invention. The Mosai said that these countries, China, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, you name it, Brunei, blah, they have followed the works and invention of her that is headed. Who is that? America, Babylon the Great. Therefore saith God, I'll send plague upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine. Egg going up is part of famine. Slowly, and then it's going to explode where you won't be able to handle it anymore. Right? Famine, sword, and pestilence. Hold on. I'm going to hold on to that. Let's go back to the article. Right? He said, that's the highest figure since 1993. When statistics were first published, it is also up 15% in yen terms from the previous record high mark in December. The Ministry of Agriculture say egg prices normally fall after peaking in December during the holiday season. That's when demand rises from producer of Christmas time cakes and traditional New Year delicacies. But ministry officials are seeing a different trend this year. They know that price of corn and other feed grain remain expensive due to Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now you want to blame Russia? I thought you were a developed country. If you happen to be a developed country, why are you waiting on Russia to eat your grain? Why are you waiting on Ukraine to eat your grain? Why? Now you want to blame Russia? You want to talk about Russia invasion? I thought you were a developed country. You're supposed to grow your own corn. You're Japanese. You're supposed to call your lovers, the Americans and the so-called European Union, to provide you with enough corn to feed your people in Japan. Now you want to blame on Russia, really? Now you're doing the blame game like your hold up, like your adulterer, America. Same thing. They blame on Russia for the evil they've done. They provoked the war. They set up the war. How come you're Japanese? You don't tell the truth. That's why destruction is going to come in Japan. There'll be more earthquake, more tsunami in Japan because you don't tell the truth. You a liar too. You understand? You follow the way of America. You see, it's very simple. We're going to tell you this so you know it. Your people can be aware of it. So you won't be like, well, we never, you heard of it. It's right there. How come you don't accuse the United States of America invading Ukraine in 2014 under the Maidan coup, where the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the US government under Barack Hussein, Barack Obama, and Victoria Nuland, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden, and the list goes on and on and on. The overthrow, the legitimate, right, elected government of Ukraine to set up a puppet to wage war against Russia, to weaken Russia. How come you don't address that? Or you forget about that? Oh, we just let you know. And nothing, we just let you know you're Japanese. You simple, man. No wisdom. You don't have wisdom. Now you want to sit down here. He said, hold on, God is doing it. Not Russia. God says he's going to bring famine in Japan, China. So you won't see anything yet. Your Wagyu beef, it won't be able to save your behind. Your Wagyu beef that you think you got the greatest beef, it won't be able to save you. You a developed country. Why are you accusing Russia for your own mistake? If you make a mistake, right? If you fall, you got to take a look at what you did wrong. If you didn't produce enough corn, enough grain to feed your chicken or to feed your birds, you can't blame Russia for that. You are a developed country, supposedly. You are a superpower, and you crying, you accusing Russia. You talking about Russia invasion of Ukraine. That show you don't have power. That show you don't know what's going on. That's why we tell you of there. Who is the number one ruling the world? The so-called white man. Because these hidden, they don't know what's going on. They don't even realize. They can't face and tell the truth to the so-called white man. They're scared. All right? Let's read it again. That's the hypocrisy. That's the propaganda. Because they're part of the game. Now, maybe these Japanese, a lot of them are Esau. We know that. Because Esau rape, rob, and mess up with everybody. So a lot of these Japanese, their forefathers go back to the so-called white men. So there'll be Esau. You got a lot of Edomite in Japan. It's a lot of Edomite, right? It's a lot of Edomite. You got to understand. The British, when they conquer them, the French, and blah, 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 all this, they conquer these people as well. But ministry, officials are seeing a different trend this year. They note that price of corn and other feed grain remain expensive due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The ongoing spread of avian flu has also reduced egg shipments, right? Poultry farmers are putting priority on supply household. That has prompted some convenience store and restaurants cut back on products and dishes made from eggs. Yeah, you need to fast. Your Japanese needs to fast from eating eggs. Stop eating eggs and fast. Okay, leave the huevos alone. Leave the eggs alone. Okay, the fast a little bit. Your Japanese, you need to fast, right? You lusting after the way of America, right? You lusting after the way of the prostitute, the whore, Babylon the Great, aka the United States of America. It's very simple. We know how you get down. You're Japanese. We know how you get down, right? And we're going to expose it to you, right? This, the Most High, bringing judgment on you, man. This, you getting smite by disease, all type of thing happen. You're reporting more cases of whatsoever you know it, right? Hey, listen, that's the Most High doing it, man. That's God bringing judgment, not Russia, right? You pushing for what? IA or AI, artificial intelligence, right? And you think that you're going to escape from the judgment? No, man. Right? You want to escape, and we're going to show it to you. Thou saith the Most High. Right? Let me show you this article. This is amazing. This is amazing. Right? This is God doing it. You're Japanese. You don't know what's going on. We're telling you what is going on. Okay? All right? You see the title right there? I show you the title. Okay? And we're going to read this a short article. You can read them in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, right? I take time. So let's read this time. It says, this is from NHK, right? It's a number of births in Japan below 800,000 for first time in 2022. This God doing it. Let's read it. Before I read the article, let's give glory to the Most High. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood. You understand? So the Most High will kill your husbands. Poverty, that will be famine. So egg prices rising up, you're accusing the Russian. It has nothing to do with Russia. God is doing it, right? Tell all your propagandists, your journalists that God is doing it. The God of the so-called black Saturday native, the God of the Israelites. Our God is doing it. He's the one bringing upon you plagues, right? Widowhood, poverty. So you're going to go broke in Asia. Not only Japan, China, all of you, right? It's a poverty, famine, sword, which is war, destruction, missile, right? And pestilence, diseases, right? The Most High bring more disease in Japan, China, India, right? He said, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. That's the purposes of God in Asia. The purposes of God in Asia is to waste Asian houses with destruction and death for the evil that you do. Right? You understand? Let's read this thing. It said, and the glory of the power shall be dried up as a flower. So all this glory that you gain from the so-called white men, from the European Union, from the United States of America, Babylon the Great, the Most High said, I'm going to dry it up. Okay? It's going to be dried up. Once it's dried up, it's going to be burned. Anything that is dry, it will be burned very fast. Just keep that in mind. All right? Dry it up. All right? Let's go over there. He said, as a flower, when the heat shall arise that is sent over thee. What is the heat? These plagues, these widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, pestilence. Okay, those are what the heat that are gonna take over the whole Asia. It doesn't matter. So you're gonna see more bombs fly in the sky. You're gonna see more drones, more missiles. Listen, you're gonna see it's gonna go left, right, front, back, all over in the sky. The sky is gonna be black. You won't be able to go out. You won't be able to eat. You won't be able to see your auntie, your uncle, your mama, your grandma. You won't be able. That's where we're heading to. We're telling you, right? Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastised with wounds, so that the mighty, right, and lovers shall not be able to receive thee. America, the European Union, Australia, Canada, they will not be able to save Asia. Because remember, America being destroyed first. How can America go and help Asia when the Most High laying on Asia? You can't do it. In the grave, are they going to do it from the grave after being burned and destroyed fully, totally? They can't do it. You can't just do it. It's very simple. All right? He said, well, will I with jealousy have so proceeded against thee, saith the Lord? If thou hast not always slain my chosen, exalting the stroke of thy hand, and saying over the dead when thou was drunken, right? The drunken of the weakness of America and the so-called white man. Set forth the beauty of thy countenance, right? The reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom. Therefore shalt thou receive recompense, like as thou hast done unto my chosen, right? Saith the Lord, even so shall God YAHAWAH do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief, destruction, death, fire, right? Heat. Thy children shall die of hunger. The children of Asia, God said they're going to die of hunger. So it's not just the eggs. Right now, the eggs is high. You ain't see anything. Let's read this. Right? Right? He said, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish, right? With the sword in the field. They that be in the mountain shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. Thou as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. And in the passage they shall rush on the idol city, and shall destroy some portion of thy land, and consume part of thy glory, and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed. You understand that? They're going to return. Right? You understand? Keep in mind, it's coming, but let's read this article. Interesting. It's a number of births in Japan below 800,000 for the first time in 2022. You can see the graph, man. Look at this graph. This is the Most High doing it, man. This is the work of our God. This is the work of the Most High YAHAWAH, man. You understand? This is the work of the Lord, man. The Lord is doing it. All right? Now the Russian, God is doing this, man. He's sending the plagues. Right? He said the number of baby, right? He said birth in Japan dropped to record low in 2022. Who is doing it? God. Because the woman don't want to get married with the man. No. And the men, they don't want to get married with the woman either. They want to do weakness. They want to freak off. That's what they do in Japan right now. They're marrying dolls. They want to have sex with dolls. All type of madness. They want to have sex with lions. They want to have sex with pigs. Look this, man. He said the number of baby born in Japan fell below 800,000 last year for the first time since record keeping began more than 120 years ago. They say 120 years ago, they never see anything like this. They never see anything like this. Right? The Health and Welfare Ministry say a preliminary figure showed that 799,728 babies, including foreign national. Now keep in mind, you know what they're telling you. Actually, this 728 baby, they were born from both Japanese and foreign nationals. You understand? So you got women from Saudi Arabia. You got women from maybe part of Africa, You got women from Ukraine, Russia. You got women from America. So many countries that go to Japan to give birth. So this is not just Japanese baby. So that's what they tell you. We're born in Japan in 2022. The number is down 43,169 or 5.1% from 2021 for a 7 straight year of decline. You understand? That's a 7 years straight. The birth rate is just dying down. It's just going down. God is doing it, man. God is doing. Who formed men and women? Who formed men out of the dust or out of the ground? It's the Most High. You go in Genesis, you read about it. All right? All right? The government began compiling such figure in 1899, right? The National Institute of Population and Social Security Research forecast in 2017 that birth will not fall below 800 until 2030. And the Most High confounded, right? That's what he said. The National Institute of Population and Social Security Research, their forecast. These are prophets, right? Not prophet of God. These are the prophet of Satan. Forecasting means that you prophesy, you predicting something that will turn you to be a prophet of Satan. All right? Because it didn't come to pass. According to the scripture, this didn't come to pass. They say until 2030. We in supposedly 2022. We are in 2022. Even 8 years before what they predicted, they prophesied to the Japanese, they got seduced. They got deceived. It went down, boom, right away. You see that? They predicted, their prediction didn't work. Their forecast, and the forecast was cast into what? To hellfire. Why? Because they follow the way of America, man. Who are you to predict, right? He said the latest figure indicate that Japan's birth rate has been falling faster than expected. You see that? That's God doing it, man. Right? Right? Health ministry officials say the situation can be described as a crisis that will change the basis of society and the economy. They said the fall in births appear to have resulted. No, you can blame this on the invasion of Russia. Why don't you blame it? You're Japanese. Please blame it on the invasion of Russia, of Ukraine. Blame it on them, baby. Blame it on Russia, buddy. You're Japanese, the prime minister. Blame it on Russia. The reason why you can't have more baby in Japan is because of Russia invasion of Ukraine. It's because of that. It's because of that. Because since they invade Ukraine, the Japanese, they can't get a wife. They can't get a husband. There's no more woman in Japan. There is no more husband in Japan because the Russian invade Ukraine. Blame it on the Ukrainian. You better blame it on the Ukrainian. If you don't blame it on the Russian, then your research is vain, man. Right? Watch this. He said, the latest figure indicate that Japan's birth rate has been falling faster than expected. No, it's falling faster because maybe the Russian, they hack the computer of the ministry, of the health ministry. Maybe the Russian hack the computer, right? Maybe the Russian hackers, they hack the womb of all the Japanese women, or they hack, the rod of all the Japanese men, so they can't have baby. Maybe the Russian hacker, maybe the Russian, they hack the private part of all the Japanese men and women. So tell them, yeah, you can't get together, right? They hack them, they put some AI, all over the place where they can't get married, where they can't, they can't go love each other in the bed. Maybe the Russian doing it, right? Maybe according to the Japanese, maybe you can just blame Russia. Just blame Russia for everything, right? Let's keep on hold. Say, health ministry officials said the situation can be described as a crisis that could change the basis of society and the economy. You understand? Right? Let's keep on rolling. They say the fall in births appear to have resulted from a combination of factors preventing young people from getting married. No, I thought it was the Russian. I thought because of the invasion, right? The combination factor is maybe the invasion of Russia, of Ukraine, and the Russia not allowing more grain to leave Ukraine, Russia, and go to maybe Japan. Maybe that's why the women are not eating very well. They cannot be in bed with the husband. Maybe the men, they don't have enough strength. They don't have enough protein in the body because of the lack of grain from Russia and Ukraine. So they can't do anything in the bed. They're just weak. They don't have the strength in them because of Russia invasion, there is no food in Japan. There is no hospital. Or maybe because the Russian, they just hack all the hospital computer. Maybe they just hack all the private part of the Japanese. Women and men say, well, no sex. You can't touch one another. Nothing should be done. Because of the Russian done this, we can have baby. No. He said, they say the fall in births appear to have resulted from a combination of factors preventing young people from getting married, having babies, and raising children. How can you be busy? You're worrying about America, you're worrying about Hollywood, you're worrying about your job, money, 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 money. You want to live like American. You don't want to have family. How can you be having such evil spirit and expect to have children? You can't have children. It doesn't work like that. The Most High won't give you no children. There won't be no children unto you because your mind is dirty. Your mind is full of what? Weakness, homosexuality, perversion. You want to freak off. That's what you want to do. You don't want to have children and raise a family. You just want to freak off. That's what you want to do. And now you're sitting and complaining, talking about your population is declining. It's going to decline more. We cry before the Most High. We call on the Most High to bring down the birth rate in Japan lower, in South Korea, lower birth rate, all over Asia, man, for the evil you've done against our people, the evil you've done against the Israel. You think you're going to walk away with it? Because America is protecting you, because you're in a military coalition, unity with America. They're going to save you from the hand of God. They cannot save you from the hand of the mighty God, man. You can't do it, man. Right? He said, the official said they will work with relevant ministry and agency to take measure. What? There was an article I was reading a couple of days ago. Let's go right here, right? Let me show you this thing, okay? Let me go right here. You see, in Korea last week, right? Right? It was last week, right? In South Korea, right? Right? It was last week. Right? I saw that thing last week, if I'm not wrong. It was last week that I saw this article, right? I don't want that Wikipedia, garbage, Let's go right here. This was last week, all right? Let me see the date, right? February, Tuesday 21st. That was yesterday, right? That was last week. Last week, I saw this article last week. I meant to go over it in one of my mind. It says South Korean court recognize legal status of same-sex couple for the first time. It says, so High Court ruled gay couple allow same health insurance right as well heterosexual couple in landmark cases. You see, where is that? In Asia. In Asia. And you're wondering what is going on? Are you so naive? I mean, you're supposed to be smart and intelligent. You don't know what's going on? You don't know? We're letting you know, right? Let's go right here. We're going to give glory to the Most High and we're going to close it out, right? This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verses 1 through 5, right? Through 7, right? We're going to read 1 through 7 and we're going to close it out, right? It says, woe be unto Babylon. Babylon is the United States of America, right? Babylon the Great. In Asia, the whole Asia, all right? The whole Asia. Japan, China, North Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, and the list goes on and on and on. Woe be unto thee, Egypt, Africa, and Syria, Middle East, right? Gird up yourself with clothes of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. The destruction of America is at hand. The destruction of Asia is at hand. That's why you see more military, right, activity toward Asia, right? You see more American military, right, movement toward Asia, right? The Chinese building up, the Russian building up, Japan building up, South Korea building up, North Korea building up, India building up. Everybody's getting stronger in Asia. Everybody's getting ready for the war in Asia. That's what we're reading right here, right? It said the destruction of Egypt, Africa is near. The destruction of Syria, the Middle East is near. All right? A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? You see? So there can be no peace. Don't listen. Don't let anybody make you believe there will be peace. We're gonna make peace. China got a peace proposal plan. The Japanese got a peace proposal plan. The United Nations got the Peace Corps got a peace proposal plan. They don't have anything. Absolutely nada, zero. You understand? Right? He said, you can't turn it back, man. The Most High done it. A fire is sent among you. Among who? Babylon the Great, America, Asia, Egypt, Syria, and the list goes on and on and on. A fire is sent among you, right? And who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you. And what is he that may drive them away? Who can drive them away? None, man. May any man drive away an hungry lion in the wood? Or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it has begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord YAHAWAH send the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? Right? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightning, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, or who shall not be afraid? You understand? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? Right? So that's what we want you to keep. Oh, breaking loose, man. Brother need to keep the eyes on Asia. Asia is getting hot. Let me see if I see any article that I would like to share with you, right? Right? Keep in mind. Oh, you're breaking loose, man. All that's breaking loose. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's read this. It said, new services start to allow foreigners to open a bank account on smartphone in Japan. It said you can open your bank account in Japan through your smartphone. You see that? Hey, brother got to stay in the spirit. Brother got to stay in the spirit. We don't know, right? We ain't jumping the gun over here, but you got to keep in mind, all that's going to break loose. All right? All right? All that's going to break loose. We want you to keep your eyes, all right? Keep your eyes on Asia. You understand? And we see right here, it said TikTok ban on US and Canada government issued devices. You understand that? So already we saw the ban in Europe. Now we see the ban in America, mainly on government things. You got to keep that in mind. All right? Right? You got to keep in mind. Let's take a look at this one. It said Japan to add Russia Wagner Group order to sanction list over invasion. So now they're following after the step because the USA seducing them, kissing them, raping them by force, do all type of things to them. And then they say, well, we're going to follow the way. We're going to add the Russian Wagner Group into what? Onto the sanction list. We're going to sanction them, right? Hey, there we go. They follow after Babylon the Great, man, right? They follow after Babylon the Great. You got to understand, right? Right? He said China reacts to U.S. Navy aircraft transit of the Taiwan Strait. You see, the Chinese reacting, right? We're telling you, man, you got building up things, power being built up right now, man, right? Power being built up right now in Asia, right? So, brother, got to stay in the spirit. Make sure you keep in the commandment. We advise you, we calling on our people, so-called blacks, Latino, Native, and repent. The promise is unto us and unto our Father, right? Let me go. Let me bring it out quiet. Let me bring that out, right? All right? All right? You got to keep in mind, we got to bring it out, man. All right? This is the book of Acts chapter 2, right? Let's go in the book of Acts chapter 2, and we're going to bring it out quick. All right, let's go to it. Let's go in the book of Acts, right? This is the promise. This promise is given unto the so-called blacks, Latino, and Native Indian descent according to your father. This is the promise the Most High gave us, right? Starting from who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 patriarchs. If we obey the voice of the Most High, this promise continue down through who? HAMASHIACH, because he died on the tree because of my sin and because of your sin. That's why we're calling our people throughout the fucking this earth to repent and keep God's commandment. Let's read this, the book of Acts chapter 2 and verse 39. For the promise is unto you. The promise is unto who? Unto the Israelite. When you go in the book of Romans chapter 9 verse 1 through 6, you can read about it. All right. Let me see right here. Let's go right here. Right. Let's read it. He said, this is the book of Acts chapter 2 and verse 38. Then Peter said unto them, unto who? The Israelite, to the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indian. All right? Repent and be baptized, every one of you, so-called blacks, Latino, and Native Indian descent according to your father. Every one of you in the name of YAHAWASHI HAMASHIACH for the remission of sins. And ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. You understand? For the promise is unto you and to your children and to all that are far off. Who? The scatter. We scatter. We far off, man. We far off. Some of us live in Japan. Some live in China. Some of our people live in France. Our people live in America, West Africa, and the list goes on and on and on. Right? Even as many as the Lord our Yahweh shall call. And with many other words did he testify and exhort, saying, save yourself from this untoward generation. Then they that gladly received his word were baptized, and the same day added unto them about 3,000 souls. Right? You understand? That's the message. Right? Right? That's the message. You understand? So we call it on our people, so-called blacks, Latino, and Native descent. We're letting you know that we, the people of the Bible, with the Israelite, according to the scripture, the prophecy, the curses, history, the artifact, with the people, right? So we calling you, repent and keep the commandment. All hell is about to break loose, Lord willing. We'll continue, Lord willing, tomorrow with another lesson, Lord willing, on the street, if it be the will of the Most High. So with that, we give our praise, glory, honor, power unto the Most High Yahweh. We do so through Yahushua HaMashiach. We say, YAHAWAH, stay in the spirit, repent, and keep the command. All right? Keep the commandment. Shalom, family. Shalom.